What's up, everybody? My name is Jacob Deaton, and thanks for stopping by another episode of Southern Wedding Professionals, where we take the best people in the South and ask them about their life and their business and all the things in between. So today, I am with Madison Moseley. Madison, how are you?
Hi, I am so fantastic. A little tired, but all in, having a great day.
Yeah, this is a 5 p.m. interview for those that will eventually experience this. So, so there's a little wear and tear on the day, I'm sure.
Yes, on like 2 cups of coffee this late in the evening, but survival.
Well, I'm on my tea. I'm trying to cut back on the coffee. I used to drink 2 and 3 cups a day. Well, back in the military days, it was like 7 or 8. But now I'm back to like one. I try to do 1 solid cup of coffee a day, and then I try to supplement with the tea because it's like it just seems to be a little lighter.
Yeah. Yes, I had one like an hour ago and like immediately got the shakes and I was like, wow, okay. I'm that old where coffee makes me shake in the evenings.
I heard once that the shaking when you have coffee, it means that the coffee beans that you're ingesting, or the coffee beans that were used to make the coffee that you were drinking, if I said that right, they're old.
Oh, great. It was from like a really nice coffee shop. So
Oh wow. I could be wrong too. I mean, that I am not an expert, although I do really love coffee, and that is like a big thing for me.
Okay. I always just equated it to like the lack of food. Like I had only caffeine in my body. So that's what I was equating that to. Shakes, no food.
That actually could be the case. So maybe we crack that case. Who knows? But so give us a little intro. Let's dive right into you. And then I want to play a little game. Usually I do this on the back end, but I kind of feel like I want to do it on the front end today for some reason. It just feels right, so I'm going to go with it. But give me your give us some backstory on you. Tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, broad strokes. You don't have to go into super finite details.
Okay.
And then we're going to play a quick game of like, let's get to know you.
Okay. All right. So backstory, I guess. So my company, Madison Moseley Events, started 4 years ago in 2016, shortly after my own wedding. And the backstory on that, which kind of created the business, is I married my high school sweetheart. Love you, baby. We actually met in 8th grade. So he's really my middle school sweetheart, which just sounds gross. But we met the very first week of 8th grade. I was a new student. I had just moved back to that school district. I had gone to a different school district nearby. We met at the first football game. He asked me to be his girlfriend. Oh, cute. And we've been together ever since. So as of today, that's been 13 years. And we were actually in the same kindergarten class, which we found out years later. So that's a kind of little tidbit on my life. So we were in high school together, college together. I had went away to my freshman year of college, moved back because I missed him. He proposed our senior year, and we got married 9 months later, 2 weeks after college graduation. I, as a planner, love to plan, if that shocks you at all. And
It's a new thing for me.
I know it's so weird. But our senior year of college, it's really crazy because you're trying to like figure out your life plan, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with our lives and where we were going to work and where we were going to live. And then I was like, you know what? Let's also get married. And the chaos of it all, I kind of thrived on it. So after our wedding and we had started our jobs, I was like coming off of the high, and I was like, oh, I really loved planning weddings, like a lot. And my friends all started to get married, and they were asking me to help them plan their weddings. And one of my friends that I worked with at my new job, my new corporate job, she was like, I can create you a logo. Why don't you just start a Facebook page? And I'll never forget that because I was sitting there at my internship and I was like, that's insane. I should not do that. I just got this new job. And she's like, what could go wrong? So she did it. She made me a logo, and I bought, business cards off of Vistaprint, and it kind of just took off. It started as more like a hobby, but now it's like my passion, and it's an actual job. And I love it. We do an average of, 30 weddings a year now, and I was doing like a couple for some friends, and now we're kind of all over the state. So it is a dream turned reality, and it's awesome.
Wow. That's a great story. I mean, like you get married at a young age and you're like, hey, maybe I could actually do this. And here you are now doing 30 weddings a year.
Yeah, it's definitely a, big transition, but it's awesome.
I mean, that's says a lot about the product in which that you're providing the marketplace, right? Obviously, people like you, which is great.
I
Uh,
would hope so.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, obviously, this is working out. Okay, so before we dive too deep into that, because I have some questions about that, I want people to kind of get to know you today. I want them to know a little bit more about you. And usually, I save this for the very, very. I think today is a day that I do it in the beginning. I'm gonna shake things up because everybody's
I
that's
love
been
it.
listening has been waiting for this at the very end. I'm gonna give them the carrot right now, and then maybe I'll have a carrot later. You just don't know until you get to the end of the podcast. So, um, but I always like to ask a bunch of questions, just literally paint a picture as to who you are. They're all PG-13. Don't worry. Um, so don't. It's not a thing. So let's dive into it. What is the last Netflix show you watched?
The Crown.
The Crown. What is The Crown all about? I don't know about
Oh
this.
my gosh. It's about Queen Elizabeth's story.
Oh,
Yeah, like
like
personal story.
old, like the first generation of Queen Elizabeth.
No, like the current one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like super historical. It's like kind of current.
So there's 4 seasons. I'm on season 4. And each season is like a different chunk of her life. So like season 1 is how she became queen, and her story as a child. It's very, very interesting. And you kind of just get a look at the royal's life. I think it's super, super intriguing. And, as a girl who loves weddings, I think that kind of connects to just being a princess. And I think that that is a very interesting life concept. Being royal.
I mean, being a queen is definitely an interesting life concept.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of perking my interest with this. I often wonder what it would like to be a king. To be a king.
Yeah.
Um, but
It's just like the whole way they live, and like all of their protocols, and it's just fascinating to me.
wow. Okay, so now I have something new I have to watch on Netflix.
There you go.
Whatever. We're in a pandemic. Got plenty of
Oh,
time.
and then like side nibbit or nugget off of that, the Queen's
Yeah.
Gambit, really good. It's
I
about
saw the advertisement for that just the other day.
so good. The
I'm mostly asking
strategy.
questions so that I can be socially like cool and know about all these things. So this is like actually getting me up to speed. Is the Queen's Gambit like a fictional thing?
Yes, it's based off of a book, I believe.
Okay, fictional thing versus like the other thing is more like a documentary, like about the Queen and stuff.
Yes, that one's more a documentary, but like actors. So it's not like the boring, where someone's like being interviewed. I think that's boring. Some people really enjoy that. No offense to anyone that loves documentaries. I need like acting and conversation.
Some acting and some drama.
Yes,
Right
drama.
on. That's cool. What's the let's see, what's the last what do you listen to music wise? Are you a music person?
Yes, I'm a huge music person, and I'm a weird music person. I go from genre to genre a lot, and it depends on the season. Um, so like in the summer, we're on the lake. I really love some country music. But recently, being in my fall feels, I've listened to Today on repeat. I'm trying to find the name. It's Novo Amor.
Okay.
That's who I'm listening to recently.
That's pretty cool. I actually don't know that artist, but now I have to go again. I've learned something new that I have to go check out, which another reason why I asked the question. I've actually been listening to the that new Weekend song like a ton.
Oh, I haven't
Blinding
heard that one.
Lights. It's like kind of synth pop 80s. Kind of makes you kind of feel like you're listening to like the Take on Me, like from Aha, you know?
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's kind of got like a little. It's got that little synth line that goes, has it lays over top of everything, but it's also it's kind of got that drum beat too. I think that may have been an inspiration in the writing room, but don't quote me.
Okay.
Tell me some of your like go-to food choices. What are you into?
I love to cook. I cook almost every single night. So what are some go-tos? So I got an Instant Pot, a must. Because but whenever we first got married, I had so much time to cook dinner every night whenever I got home from work. But now that I have 2 kids, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to thaw the meat out. What can I cook in 30 minutes before this toddler loses his mind? So Instant Pot is my saving grace. I cook a lot of meals in there. Last night I did a pot roast with potatoes and carrots, where I'm a big meat, like protein and sides cook. So I do a lot of potatoes, sweet potatoes, some kind of baked chicken.
Cool. Well, I don't know how long it takes me to get to you, but like I think I could be there in maybe 3.5, maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know what I'm cooking tonight because I forgot to thaw the meat out. So I'm gonna be putting something in the Instant Pot. That me telling you what I cook a lot is what I'm cooking tonight because that's real life.
Sounds like a Domino's night to me.
Oh, you know what? Exactly. DoorDash tonight.
There you go.
DoorDash and pizza.
I love that stuff, man. DoorDash and I can't remember all the other Uber Eats and whatever else.
Yeah.
So great. That's one of the best things that's evolved in the last 10 years,
Absolutely, yes.
Anyway, so we'll save a few more of these carrots for the end, but let's circle back to the beginning of your business, like you talked about. What's when you launched your business, you went, okay, I guess I'll start a logo, and 4 years later, you're now doing 30 weddings a year, absolutely crushing it in your region. What sort of marketing? I obviously you have a marketing background, so like, what's sort of your strategy and how to get from 0 to 30 a year? How did you do that?
I started small. So whenever I started the business, I did just graduate college. And even though I had a marketing degree, I didn't have any experience in how to get your name out there. So I learned a lot from my corporate job. And my corporate job was on like the $1 billion marketing budget. And I was on like, what did I not spend on groceries this week? I can put into my marketing for this new business. And really, it was just an idea that I had. So I really didn't want to invest a lot of our dollars as newlyweds into this company. So I did a lot of free things, a lot of, a little bit of money here, things like buying business cards, Facebook ads, and a lot of word of mouth. Word of mouth is the most powerful marketing tool out there. No matter how much you spend on advertising, your webpage, whatever, your word of mouth and the weight that carries is immense. So in my county that I'm in, I was at a really crucial age because everybody that I knew was graduating and getting married. So when they would get married, they'd use me, and then their bridesmaids would get married, and then they'd refer me out. So that was the biggest thing for me, starting the business and having a really heavy social media presence. Our generation is massive in social media, and their technology and their devices. And there's so much research out there that I learned through my degree, that people are not just on one device at a time anymore. They're on 2 or 3. You can be sitting there watching TV at night and you're on your phone and you're listening to music. So having your reach through social media is really big, having your presence and being engaged. But it's a really hard times too, because everything changes so rapidly that staying on top of everything and being present all the time is a really big challenge as your life evolves too. So
Yeah.
it's been a really big learning experience over the last few years. I've gone from just being on Facebook to being on the Knot, and I just actually won the 2021 Best of Weddings a couple days ago. So that was a really big achievement for us. Um, just having our clients love us so much that we kind of won that award from the Knot. Just a big pivotal moment for our business, and just trying to stay updated with all of our marketing stuff. I update it, change it every month.
Right. Let me ask you this, because there's a lot to unpack with what you just like. I mean, I could go on like three different tangents, I feel like, but since you brought up social media, like, did you find that there was a moment in time to where your generational age of being that new planner, and all your friends were getting married and then their friends were getting married, sort of teetered off, and then maybe your marketing skills and your social media presence and stuff sort of started making up the slack? Or do you feel like those things just kind of run parallel together at the same time?
They did run parallel in the beginning,
Mhm.
definitely, because I was the same age as my brides. I was in the same life, experience as them. I was maybe a couple months ahead. I just got married, so we related on a lot of the same fields. So my lack of experience made up in my personality, in my life stage, I would say, because I was so relatable to the brides because we were the same age,
Right.
just getting married. This is what I did for my wedding. So we clicked really, really well. I still click really, really well with my brides, but on the experience level, they look at me and all of the weddings I've done, and we're still able to relate, but just at a different time in life. So now my social media and my marketing has made up for that difference.
Mhm.
I would definitely say that to me hit. I felt that shift, and I did feel it the last 6 months, probably when I had my second child, and I would talk to my brides about it. I still thought I was young and the newlywed, and then I was looking at it, I was like, oh man, I have 2 kids, and I've been married for almost 5 years. I am not the new bride anymore. So that was a slap in the face. No, it was just a
Yeah, I mean, I bet. I mean, it's kind of a reality shift. You're like, okay, I'm not the spring chicken anymore. I'm like
yes.
I'm the
The
mature, like
seasoned.
I've been around the block a few times, but I'm still young, still hip, but I'm
Yeah,
there,
I'm
you
on
know.
TikTok.
Right. You got a TikTok account. You're totally cool.
Yeah.
Like you're in it. You're in it to win it. I just wonder for people that like yourself that jump into it right after, your wedding, which I've talked to several people like you that plan their own wedding, and then they're like, oh my God, this is kind of fun. I think I could do this for a living. And they kind of jump headfirst into that. It always kind of seems like that they have an existence of, just muddling along, and like they say, like, I have this great idea, and then I'm gonna have all my friends hire me, and then all my friends hired me, and then there's this shifting point where you have to, sort of pivot, and it goes from being like, oh, this is all referrals, to now like, well, the referrals are still happening, but my age group is changing, and like I'm now not of the age group that was older than me, that was like, actively getting married and stuff. So now I have to like figure out a new way to kind of reach those people. And I think it's always like a really interesting um, shift. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely a shift, and it's definitely felt. You can feel it too, and it's just a weird transition in your business.
mhm. Yeah. And so with your marketing background, which I think we spoke about off camera, not on camera, that maybe we did say that at the very beginning, but if we didn't, she's got all the marketing. She's a marketing whiz. She's got the skills. She's got the paperwork from college to prove it. Um,
Yes.
what sort of things have you been doing with social media that sort of evolve you into, that's evolved your marketing process to where it is now? Like, what kind of stuff are you doing that that you find to be really valuable and helpful?
So when I think I'll take that in two chunks here. When I first started my social media, it's definitely a learning experience. And I did a lot of live videos. People like to see the venues I was at. I would do tours on Facebook Live. Instagram wasn't as big. It was still a big presence, but not as big as I thought Facebook was at the time. So I did a lot of live venue tours and walk people through. People loved that. I got a lot of engagement with that. Nowadays, Instagram has an algorithm, if people don't know, for businesses, for bloggers, whatever. And it's a very strategic algorithm and they change it all the time, which is very frustrating from the business perspective, because you don't just pop up on people's feed anymore. If they follow you, you have to be extremely engaged with the audience. So it makes it challenging because if you're not on Instagram all day long engaging with your followers, you don't show up on their feed. So, so on that perspective, I try to just post a certain, very specific amount of times in a week. And I like to keep my themes consistent with, like, do a series on a recent client, or, have my grid look consistent. And I really love to showcase our work that we did as planners. That's really important to me. I like to, whenever people come to my page, I want them to see the authenticity of my business and that, hey, this is what we can do. This is what we can provide you. And also just be real to who we are, like each wedding is. So I think that really shines through in your social media, is how authentic you are. I think that's really relatable to the end user.
Yeah, authenticity is a really big thing, because you can just post a whole bunch of self-centered stuff all the time, but that's not really what gets people interested in social media at all, especially with your channel, or your, that's YouTube talk, but your page, or your, or whatever it is, your Instagram page. So,
Right.
like, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I feel like you have to really go to them. Like you're saying, you have to make time out of your day to where you go and you leave thoughtful comments with people, and not comments of like, I'm just gonna put a bunch of hearts right here on this one person's post, and then the next one's gonna get 2 hearts, and then the next one's gonna get 3 hearts. Like, but actually well thought out, well intended comments that provide commentary on whatever the world that they're living in
Right.
is, and that is what breeds communication between you and the other person, as well as the genuine connection.
Right.
So I think that's super undervalued in our world, of being in the wedding business and being busy all the time. I think it's extremely undervalued.
Yeah, I do too.
But I digress. But yeah, okay, so we've gotten you to this point. We've gotten you to where you are now. You're doing 30 weddings a year. Where do you see your brand kind of going from here? Do you have like any next steps of like dreams, ambitions, thoughts? Like, I mean, are you like, oh, this is good, I'm probably going to maintain this. But like, what is the next step for you? What's the next refining bit of thing that you feel like you need to jump to the next, the next direction? What's that thing? Because we all, as entrepreneurs, I feel like we
Yes.
always have something going on in the back of our brain
Yes.
saying, oh, well, we're here, but we could go here. You know what I
Yes,
mean? What is the thing
absolutely.
for you?
I was about to say that as entrepreneurs, we are always trying to grow. I don't think we're ever satisfied. And that's a great thing because it keeps your creativity just constant. And I think I'm looking at what I can do for my business every single day. I have a great staff team of girls. So I have multiple planners, which gives me the capability of doing multiple weddings on one day at multiple locations. And that grows my network tremendously. So that's a crucial part in how I want to grow. Without giving away too many details, because, industry secrets,
Yeah, there you go.
partnerships are the foundation, the walls, the ceiling, everything for a planner. photographers can make it, or other vendors, not just singling out photographers, but for example, they can probably make it on their own just by their marketing and their advertising alone because of their work, because that's what brides are looking for.
Right.
Planners, on the other hand, we have to have a network. Brides come to us to plan their wedding because we know who we know. I think the ease and the stress-free process that a planner provides a bride or a couple is the glory and the benefit of having one. I'm not going to hire someone to do the work that I'm going to do, right? Like a planner needs to know their network and be able to think so quickly on who is the perfect fit for their couple. So networks are a huge place of where I am in my business. So looking forward, definitely growing partnerships specifically to offer my brides the most personalized experience that they can have for their wedding, and that it's just going to make everything exactly what they want for the price that they want. And then their day is just extremely stress-free and easy. Weddings shouldn't be complicated. And I think if you're in the wedding industry, the more that you see weddings, the more complicated they're getting, the more expensive they're getting. And then with COVID thrown in the mix, the complexity has gone out the roof. And we're all just like trying to figure out what to do now. But we're all trying to do it together, which is great. So that just kind of, ties in my partnership piece there a little bit more.
Right. Wow. There's a couple things I want to get to just out of what you just said. I thought was really cool. One, I'd love to hear about how you're going to pivot, or how you're pivoting in COVID to make everything work for your brides and for your grooms. I think it's really important for everyone that. But before you maybe answer that question, if you could answer the question, oh man, where was it? Where'd it go? Actually, you know what? Answer that one. We'll come back to it because it'll hit.
Okay. So COVID has been hard. Everyone's been affected by some aspect of it this year in 2020. For our couples, we have just been adapting. There's no right answer. And I tell all of my couples, I was like, there is no right answer. There is no direction on what to do here. So I try to just be as accommodating as possible, because I've seen it from both ends of my my couples coming to me like, the venue won't let me move the date, or, this is happening and I don't know what to do. And I'm not trying to add stress to that. So from my perspective, I've done everything from cancel weddings, help plan elopements, move an entire wedding in 14 days, to moving it to 2021, and we're kind of just holding. So with current weddings that I have had and that we've actually successfully, held within the COVID atmosphere, things have looked different, but things have also not looked different. Brides are still getting the weddings that they've wanted. We just allow the guests to do what they need to feel comfortable. And I think people are just assuming the risk and at the end of the day, feeling good with their decision.
Yeah, I think it's important for everybody to do what's best for themselves in this time. And there seems to be a lot of differentiating opinions. But like one thing is for sure, that, you got to take care of your people and everyone around you, and you got to do that in the best way you can. And one of my bands, for example, played an event the other day for a wedding, because we happen to be in Georgia, which is one of the more loosely regulated states.
Yeah.
And so, the wedding planner was super considerate to the band by putting out like the flowers from the ceremony. They repurposed into basically like a barrier in front of the band and gave it like, the 6 feet of distance, and then and so they just kind of laid them out right in front. So there was a dance floor like over there, but like they had a nice, but it was nice. It was super beautiful and elegant. And then actually, I was like, why don't people do this more often? Because those, the flowers that they have like all over this, all over the place, if they could like make that into some sort of thing that would cleverly break down. And I'm sorry, florists that I've interviewed, like, I know you're probably like,
No, I do
nothing
that all
about
the time.
flowers. You can't do that, but I'm dreaming here. I'm the entrepreneur in me is coming out. If you had it to where it could break down into something and then it could dress the front of the band or the stage or whatever, and it wasn't that could be really valuable to a bride or groom. Anyway, just throw that around in the noggin for a little while. But save that one. Maybe you can make a lot of money on that one day. But but yeah, I feel like that we all have to kind of do the best we can, right? And hopefully this vaccine is coming soon.
Yeah, we'll see what 2021 holds.
I mean, it's already. I mean, and if you're a bride or you're a groom and you're listening to this and you're like, you're just wondering like what that we live in, and you're considering having your wedding in 2021, please, for the love of all things wedding, like, if you're thinking about even doing it in 2021 at all, you should have already had a venue like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like if he proposed yesterday, you should have already secured your venue today.
Yeah.
Because if you want a Saturday, it's going to be really hard. Especially if you're wanting one of those places that are really, that are really desired. I mean, I've heard of some people that's been planning their weddings for 2022 of the fall and 23 in the spring.
Yeah, I've started booking 2022 weddings, so
it's because of the shift. I mean, it's just throwing a big wrench in the first 6 to 8 months or 6 to 9 months of 2021. Good Lord, I've lost my numbers for a second.
What month is it?
Yeah, no, I mean, really, I feel like we're just in it's Groundhog Day every day.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But it's true. So if whatever you're doing right now, bride or groom that may be listening or watching the YouTube channel, finish watching this video because I want you to finish watching this video. But then after that, start making phone calls. Yes. It's super important. Or if you're really smart and you're really thinking about it, go find and pick your wedding planner so she can help you with your budget. So you always get the most important things right, like this lady right here in front of us. Madison, tell me, we've talked about the future of the business a little bit, like as far as like what you see without giving too much away. We've talked about the past. We've talked about the present with this COVID thing. Talk about some of maybe some of the like, have you had anybody in your life that's been through this whole evolution and you becoming the wedding planner that you are now? Like, has there been someone in the industry that's kind of been like your rock that you could like talk to that would give you encouragement or anything like that? Do you have I hesitate to even use the word mentor, but anything related to that, a peer, et cetera, that you that just like really helped you through in the beginning to kind of get you to where you are now?
Thinking about it as you're talking about it, yes and no, I guess. So I don't have like a wedding planner that I like watched grow and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. There are definitely an incredible wedding planners or event planners in Charlotte that I just admire their work. It is just extraordinary. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that one day. These massive, $100,000 weddings, and they just have flowers dripping from the ceiling, and the bride comes in a helicopter and like gold. So there are definitely people that I watch and I admire, and I just, love to reference their work. And then I have my network that have been like my foundation from the go-to, like my very first florist out of my hometown, who like is one of my absolute greatest friends, call all the time, brainstorm ideas off of, and we just kind of like have a language where we don't even have to say anything anymore, kind of friend. And like same thing with DJs. Like I just have created this wonderful network from vendors that believed in me from the get-go, where I was like, hey, I want to be a wedding planner. And like, they're like, well, how many weddings have you done? I'm like, this is my first one. And they're still sticking with me today, 4 years later. And then, so that's my glue, the people that have just helped me through it all. And then my assistant, Morgan, who we were best friends in high school. And whenever I decided to do this, I called her. I was like, would you want to do weddings with me? And she's like, absolutely. And we've been doing them together ever since. So we've had kids together and done weddings together. And I trust her with everything. And we have kind of been through it all together through this business. So she's helped me get through all the hard things and the business proposals for the future and all the good stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about your team. That'd be a good place to pivot to. What's
Yeah.
your tell me about the people that you have on your team that you use. I know you said you could handle multiple weddings in a weekend and stuff like that
Yep.
you had in the past, but like what are some of those mainstay people that you have on your roster?
So Morgan that I just mentioned, she's my copy, I guess. We both have great we play off each other's strengths and weaknesses for sure. She's in nursing school right now, so she is like my hero. I cannot believe she's in nursing school, has two kids, and does weddings. Like she's incredible. So we did a lot of weddings together. Like if we have a single wedding in a weekend, we usually do them together. And then I have Michaela and Sarah. And Michaela joined me 3 years ago. One of those, like whenever I was just starting, she messaged me on Instagram and was like, "Hey, I'm looking to be a wedding planner." And I was like, "Oh, we could use the help." And um, she kind of just started working with us here and there. And now I can send her on a wedding, by herself or to run lead. And same with Sarah. Sarah was an intern with me years ago. And she just did small things for me, like run our Instagram page or contact a vendor here and there. And now she's running weddings on her own as well. So my team is incredible. They give me real good feedback. We just had our 2020 review meeting as a team. And one of my favorite things to do is to get feedback from my team, like what is working for us, what is not, because I don't want just to have my perspective. I want my team's perspective, because if my team is happy and my team feels comfortable, my clients feel happy and comfortable. So the way that I run a business is how my team wants to run a business too. And we all just really jive together really well. And I think that's what makes us really great planners for our clients.
Yeah, how did you go about creating that culture with your people to where they can, when you do a review like this, that they can feel comfortable in bringing up like deficiencies that they see in the company that you own, and they have that trust to sort of really be open and honest with you? I think a lot of people who have a team of people that they work with are always striving for that like next level of communication and the ability to just be open and honest with each other, so that you can make real time changes whenever you do have these types of meetings. Like, what's sort of like your ideology as it pertains to like creating that work environment?
That's a great question. And while the corporate life was not for me, I worked in corporate America for 3 years. I worked in marketing at a very large annuity and life insurance company. And the culture there was incredible. I learned so much from that company on how a Fortune 500 company keeps their employees happy,
Mhm.
or doesn't keep their employees happy. And I think I just applied that to my own business. And conversations with friends coming out of college and my husband of what is working for our bosses and what's not. You always have those conversations with your friends of like, oh, my boss like will not listen to what I'm saying and they don't let me go early on a Friday. Those things, I feel like are really applied to my business. For example, I think millennials look at how we were raised as kids and we're like, oh, we'll never do that, whenever we're parents. And I kind of apply that to my business principles as well. As like,
Mm,
nah, I'll never be a boss like that. I want to listen to my employees.
mm.
And I kind of just put that into practice.
That's cool. I was so specific. Can we dive even like a little bit deeper into that? Like as
Yeah.
far as like, give us like some tangible things. Is it a once a quarter you go to Top Golf? Is it like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, is it like a once a month you go here? Is it a once a week you send an email to the entire team saying, rah rah, etc. I love you, etc. What are some of the things that you do for your people to keep them on this like up and up?
Um, that's a great question. So one way that I feel like I connect really well with my girls is I'm honest with them. Like from the get-go, I'm like, y'all, my kids have been insane in the membrane today. Like, I just can't handle this today. I need a little bit of help. And I think the humility of that really resonates with your employees, not trying to be um, above them, trying to be with them. I think really means a lot. If you've seen the illustration of a good boss or a good leader is not someone giving orders, it's someone who's down in the grit with them. And I
Right.
think I hope they think that I do that really well with them. Um, and I feel like when I feel the desire that they have to lead weddings or learn from me, or just give so much to the company. I want to give that to them. Like, you guys want to do more weddings? Awesome. Let's put in the work. Let's do this. Let's really pull our weight so that we can get more clients and you guys can do more weddings, because they love it as much as I do. So it's not work. It's just, how can we grow together? Because when the company grows, they grow. So we don't really do a lot together because we all kind of live in different areas.
Mhm.
Um, but we're really good friends, so we just have we have calls together, like team calls. And then I think our annual review is a really big moment for us too, because we get to come together like in person finally, when it's not just a wedding, and really just talk about our year. We talk about our goals, what worked, what didn't, and what we want better for 2021 or the upcoming year.
Mm.
And we really just like, go team, and kind of leave from there, and work our butts off for the
Right.
next year.
Hey, how's the community there in Charlotte? I've had Ivy Robinson on the podcast, and
She was the one I was talking about earlier, like who I admire is Ivy Robinson.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh man. Well,
incredible.
I was just up in Charlotte. We had dinner, and she's like so fun, and we had a whole bunch of laughs and a whole bunch of drinks. And if she's listening, love you, Ivy. The
You too, I love you too. Same girl.
Yeah, she's I think this is a question that I forgot to ask her, but I'll ask you, since you're in Charlotte. How's the community there? Do you feel like the planners in Charlotte are, would you call it like a tight knit kind of thing, or would you call it more of like everybody's cool but they're just doing their own thing all the time? Like, the reason why I bring this up, and then I'll let you speak. Like, the people that I've interviewed quite a few people in Charlotte, and it seems like Charlotte has this like unbelievable community of like people that are just like super tight. Like, they're all friends. Like, all know each other. They're all friends. And also like in Charleston, South Carolina, it seems to be like everybody there is like very aware of each other. And obviously Charleston is like one of the biggest destination capitals for weddings in the world, or the country at least. But like they all seem to be like pretty tight knit there too. Like, what do you feel like the temperature in Charlotte is?
So with my network of vendors, we're all very tight. My photographers, my florists, my hair and makeup, very tight knit group. As for other planners, I know a couple, but we're not like best friends. We kind of admire each other's work, and that may be different for for the other planners, and it may because I'm like a little bit outside of Charlotte,
Mm,
but I think we're all, for me, I just admire everyone's work and kind of learn from different things that they do, and love to refer brides to them if I'm booked. Um, but I have more of a tight knit group with my vendor group than I do other planners, I think. But there are quite a few planners. Like, there's a lot, and I see new ones coming up all the time.
hmm Yeah, I feel like from what I've been able to gather, I mean, I had a chance to really walk through that downtown area of Charlotte that's really shot up in the last
Yeah.
uh, few years. I used to go to Charlotte all the time, and it was just kind of this city that was a city, but you didn't really have like a personality, Like, to me at least, it didn't. And I'm sorry if I offended someone by comparatively to other cities I've been to. It was like it was a city, but it needed like some growth, and it needed some like reworkings of all the old buildings, and like the personality was whatever. That has completely changed. This last trip that I took to Charlotte, unbelievable growth. and it's really special what they're doing over there. And I'm hoping that the scene of wedding vendors continues to grow and build and invest in each other, so that a healthy community sort of exists.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. I just like that was kind of a monologue. Sorry about that. I have a really strong thing about community. Like I think community is an integral part of what we do. Um,
Absolutely.
I think I sort of learned that in the beginning in the military, and then I sort of learned that in being a musician for as long as I was, previous to my involvement in the wedding community. And now that I see that in the wedding community, I see like some real opportunities for people to, to be the one that beats the drum, and sort of gathers people together and creates that camaraderie. Because truthfully, when we're all working together, even if we're working for our own businesses and stuff, but like if we're all in communion together, we're all winning.
Yeah,
Because there's
very
always going to be a client that comes to you and you talk to them and you're like, I don't know if I don't know if I'm a good fit for you. So I'm going to send you to this person because I've invested in that community of people. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Does that ever happen? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, definitely have felt that way. Um, we've got screaming babies over on this
Oh
side.
no. Oh no. Are they gonna come join you?
They're probably gonna have to. It's time for him to eat.
Oh, well, listen, if it's time for him to eat, then it's time for us to go.
It is,
So let's,
unfortunately. I could talk about this stuff all day, but my husband is probably out there like banging on the door.
well, there's plenty more to talk about. And we will have you back on this thing in the
Please
future.
do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love there's going to be a carrot at the end of this. If you listen to all the way through, the carrot was kids beating on the door trying to get into their to the
Yes.
room to be with their mom. It's perfect. I couldn't think of a better way to end this. Anyway, Madison, thanks for being here. Thanks for being on Southern Wedding Professionals. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such a blast.
And my name is Jacob Deaton, and we will see you next time. Take care.